So it's no secret that for almost every movie after not Endgame, after Far From Home, the actual end to the Infinity Saga and Phase 3, people seem to get confused with that or say dumb shit like the MCU should have ended after Endgame, which is a remedial thought. But it's no exaggeration that people have been increasingly mixed in their reception to MCU outings. Lots of people are saying that the quality of the MCU has been diminishing because of the quantity of projects being made, and that sheer output is responsible for the shoddy CGI, shallow character motivations, and half-baked stories being told, which I do agree with for the most part, okay? However, I do think a lot of people will bitch about things that and I'm sure most people, don't really see anything wrong with. Strange's third eye looks fine. How the fuck is a third eye supposed to look? But as I really sat and thought about some of the problems, some of the things that actually matter, why they're happening, and what to do about them, it also dawned on me there might be another thing that is just as culpable, and that is continuity. I know that sounds crazy, but I will explain why that is and all the other real problems with the MCU in a very sloppy, scatterbrained way as only a boy can do. Now, in this new age of streaming platforms, multiverses, and this shifting standard for the superhero medium, what are some of the actual real issues and what's just basically video essay shit? Trying to offer some very basic solutions from somebody who actually loves the MCU. But before I do so, players, if you want to support your boy, go ahead, hit the sub button, like this video, and if you would, share it around. We want to spread this like an OnlyFans model. Not that one.
I'm Elizabeth Olsen, and I'm very attracted to you.
It's good to be back. Yes, one of the things that the MCU has been praised for in the past, even by myself, has been that they cared about continuity. Of course, there might be the occasional slip up here or there, but for the most part, the MCU has put forth such an effort and respects what has come before. The timelines are pretty clear. You rarely see any contradictions, and there's effort put forth into the connective tissue, okay? That's why we see so much effort in the Daredevil TV shows in connecting the Chitauri attack, okay? But just recently, with Quantumania being the start of Phase 5 and not being received that well, it got me looking a little bit deeper, and it was reported that a month ago, or in January, they underwent reshoots. Okay, that's fucking crazy. And now we know that it was for the ending of the movie. That's what they were doing reshoots for, which was one of the weakest endings to an MCU film to date, okay? I'm not here to turn on the MCU. I still love it to death, but problems being addressed is necessary, especially when you do care about something. Not to pick on Quantumania, but it's been pretty exemplary of most of the problems that people talk about and some of the issues that I've been having as of recently, which are a superhero movie or movie in general without tension, sacrifice, or buildup when it very easily can, okay? And at the very least, not the greatest execution of any of those things. I never really felt any sense of stakes in this movie, okay? I was told what the stakes were, but never really made to feel those stakes. We got a lot of exposition about how bad Kang was, but we could have used a lot more of him actually being a menace to the people of the quantum realm and to the multiverse, okay? Too much tell and not enough show, okay? That's like a mofo that says he used to bench 405 for 5. I used to squat 600 ass to grass for fucking 10 reps. Like, bitch, I don't give a fuck, first of all, but either show me or show yourself out of my ear, okay? This isn't radio, okay? Movies are visual mediums, so you could have shown him taking on heroes from the alternate timelines to really leave the impression of how much a menace he is and sell people on this guy being the next Thanos. I know people bitch about cameos, but in this case, getting some cameos from other heroes like a Thor, Captain Marvel, Hulk, or Doctor Strange, hell, maybe even throw in Scarlet Witch, strong mofos to display how much of a threat he is, maybe get an other Age of Ultron Vision type of scenario going, that would have gone hard, okay? Imagine Kang would have actually hurt Cassie in his prison instead of just flipping her sideways, and maybe even if he could at that point move time through her to make her old, or run time through her to make sure she never existed like the other way, like make it so they remember their time in the quantum realm with Kang. And I think that would have drastically raised the stakes of the movie and made Kang escaping and the final battle that much more dreadful, okay? And speaking of Kang escaping, the final battle between Team Ant-Man and Kang was cool. I think they they used the powers of Team Ant-Man in cool ways and Kang, but it wasn't executed in a way where there was any real tension being built up. Like, imagine if it was played out in a way similar to Thor's arrival in Wakanda, where Team Ant-Man was getting overwhelmed. It was drawn out in a way that by the time Hank came with the ants, there was like a huge sense of relief and just like overcome with like joy that we have, we have Thor here, but we have Hank and we have all these ants, and the ants, that's Ant-Man shit, like bringing ants into the fight. So I think that the bones were there for something good. Felt like their fight with Kang lasted like 2 minutes, and then boom, the ants came through. Nobody was really hurt. It felt kind of plastic. There wasn't an impression left to make you kind of feel that fight. Okay, nothing like too crazy happened, nothing memorable. The actual ending of the movie, the thing that was changed from them actually getting stuck in the quantum realm and Kang escaping, which was for the reasons of not being repetitive of the last movie, the ending of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think it would have gone just so much harder. Like if Kang escaped and they see another portal open and they thought they'd escaped, but they're in like some alternate universe, and Cassie, Hank, and Janet are in the real MCU 616 universe, and so Scott and Hope are still missing, but they come through in this post-apocalyptic universe that looks like it's decimated by Kang, or even still ran by Kang. That would have been better in my opinion. That would have left a way better impression. The thing is, they changed the ending. That would have been so much more impactful in order to not be repetitive, but I'm not so sure that was the only reason. I don't think Marvel Studios isn't capable of doing great things. They've done great things in the past, but I think as the MCU expands in size, you're working with so many different actors with different schedules and juggling all these storylines within this new era where having a connected television universe is standard now. Okay, there is so much more to manage, and absolutely anything can happen with actors and just in the world, period. So these stories could very well be adhering to overarching plans that could be dismissing the product now to serve the product in the future, which is very dangerous. Okay, I think people who cling to the good old days of phase one are not thinking of the fact that the MCU at that time was way smaller a sandbox than it is now, and people very well had their problems with the phase one of movies. You didn't have as many moving parts, so the movies felt more purposeful, more focused compared to now, especially. Like, it feels like parts of these movies are being made in ways, their segments are interchangeable to a point that if something changes for one thing in a movie 3 movies down, it can be tweaked to fit that continuity and that new narrative, which, I mean, it is impressive to be that malleable, but I feel like that leads to what we're seeing, which is VFX and lighting mistakes and VFX workers being just overworked and crazy crunches. But it looks like the MCU is working on their own solutions by slowing down the production on these movies and distributing the VFX load more graciously. The helmet thing really doesn't matter too much to me. I get it's a whole actor convenience thing, but this shit will always go more harder than a bitch compared to that, okay? And also kind of gives a sense that they're being lazy with it. VFX work be damned, but it's like, get a little bit practical where we can. As far as that goes as well, some of these movies are very grandiose, and I feel like the time that they have on screen either isn't being used effectively, or what they're trying to do is way too much for the time that they're allotted, okay? Quantumania was like 2 hours and 5 minutes. It depends on how you use your time. They go into the quantum realm very quickly, which I really glad that they did that, but it seems like there's so much in the movie that it's like you're working with so many things. It's the third movie, it's epic. I think they should have made this one a little bit longer. I think 15 minutes to leave more of an impression, maybe talk more about the theme of loss of time, things that could have lasted and stayed with the audience. That's not to say I hated the movie or anything like that, but I just want for these movies to, leave you with something. I think that that's exemplary of also what happened with the Eternals. I think there were some really deep themes, but they introduced Crow, and it's like Crow didn't do anything. That was such a misuse of a villain, and even though he was a low-key villain, there's no Crow fans out there, okay? But it's like, why even have him in the movie? Why have 10 new Eternals, brand new? People don't even really fuck with the Eternals like that. Very high concept, very esoteric characters. You can't just do all of that into a movie and give everybody the time that they need to latch onto these characters and feel for them by the end of the movie. Or maybe you can, and you just didn't do it effectively enough. As bad as it sounds, and as bad as it will be when I'm in the movie theater and a movie is more than 2 hours long and I'm questioning my existence for why I drank so much of my slushy this early into the movie, I think it's better to make the movie a little bit longer, lose a little bit money because you're not, going to be running the movie as much to make it a better movie, and give us more of what we need. Fill in moments where Kang can be a real villain, Scott can have really good moments with his daughter, and, you know, give the VFX workers time by being a little bit more practical where you can be. Put a clause in that contract saying, hey, you have to wear the Iron Man armor, or hey, you gotta wear the Ant-Man helmet. I know it's hot in there, but you gotta wear it. This, Paul Rudd, this goes harder than a bitch right over here, right? This doesn't go as hard as a bitch. So let's do the thing that goes harder than a bitch. But that's pretty much it. I think people will get mad at the MCU because, you know, they're tied to Disney. They have all the money, and for movies that are made for this amount of money compared to movies with just like a fraction of that budget, those smaller movies look better visually. I think there's a lot of things that go into that, but I think that's a lot of the reasons why we'll get people that are bitching at the people who are making these movies, because look at what somebody is doing with less money versus somebody who has more money than God, you know? It's one of those things. Again, I'm not an expert at any of this shit. This is just some of the stuff that I've been picking up on. But again, I think Marvel is making moves to correct these mistakes. Those are just my opinions, guys. I love the MCU. If you love something, you gotta be real with it. So let me know, what are some of the problems that you are having with the MCU right now? What are some of the things you think people just kind of like bitch about needlessly? And then, you know, what are some of the solutions, you know, to any of the issues that I brought up? Do you think continuity is an actual issue, or do you think I'm just tripping on that? Let me know. But that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.